All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to talk about Drake Maye and his performance from over the weekend, and just kind of get into uh, his his preseason just in general. Um, and look, I mean, I think all the rookie quarterbacks have I think they all did a good job in the preseason. I don't think anybody. I mean, I've said this constantly, but I don't think anybody really embarrassed themselves. And I thought, from watching a little bit of Drake Maye on Sunday, I mean, I think he could start Week 1. Now you could say, well, it's the preseason, and you know, look at the level of competition that he's going up against, and and I'm not going to push back on that because I get it. And look, I've made sure to say, well, it's the preseason. Anytime I, compliment a player because, it's a preseason. These games don't count for anything. But you at least get to see how these guys look. And from what I saw, and even with Drake Maye going up against, the backups, the Patriots' offensive line is not giving him all the time in the world to throw the ball. He's got to get rid of it. And that's one of the reasons why I think some people are maybe holding back on, yeah, he should definitely start. Because you don't want to put your young quarterback out there when your offensive line is not playing well. And that leads to him getting hurt. I understand that. But the other thing, too, is, well, with the rookie quarterback, they can move around a little bit. It's a tough call. But I think Drake Maye could definitely start. I definitely think that Week 1, you could put him out there. I think he's shown that, you know, he's ready to go Week 1. But the Patriots may have a plan where, you start Jacoby Brissett, and then eventually Drake Maye will take over. But Jacoby Brissett has not played well in the preseason. He just hasn't. And got banged up against the Commanders. Had to leave the game early. So it's going to be interesting what they end up deciding. I mean, if they start Drake Maye Week 1, I mean, that'll definitely excite the fan base. They'll be excited to see him. I mean, listen, I'm not going to pretend like the Patriot fans are, they've never seen any winning. They're in an interesting period now because now they're a team that is not expected to win. That's what they've been expected to do for, 20 plus years. But it's a new era now. You're not the team to beat anymore. But I think for a lot of them, they want to see, well, pretty much all of them, they want to see this young quarterback start right away and, see what he could do. And his stats could have been better in the preseason. But, he had drops, and then, the other night, he scrambles out of the pocket, throws downfield to KJ Osborne, and that ended up being a touchdown, but it got called back because it was how the left tackle was lined up. It was, I think it was I think they called it an illegal formation, but yeah, you can't have that happen. But yeah, the offensive line, that's really been besides Drake Maye, the offensive line has been the talk of the town. How it's really been struggling. And the Patriots got to figure out, you know what? The young receivers look like, they could be playmakers in the offense. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be game breakers, but, I see the talent there with Jalen Polk and Javon Baker. But, I'm not going to say they're going to turn into, some of the best receivers in the league, but they got to play a big role in this offense. They got to help the growth of their young quarterback whenever they decide to go to him. Now, you still got some veterans there. You got Hunter Henry, who they brought back. Ramondre Stevenson. There's some veteran guys on this offense. But I think it really starts all up front. They have to protect their young quarterback. They have to protect whoever's behind that line. Because, again, I said this before, you could start Drake Maye. Well, you could have Drake Maye sit, but, somebody does have to play quarterback. And that's why I feel bad. Like, you want to protect your own quarterback, but you're sending somebody out there to play under that line, behind that line, and they're going to end up getting hurt. Like Jacoby Brissett. It's not fair to Jacoby Brissett, but, again, somebody's got to play quarterback. So, it's an interesting, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening. I don't know what's, in my opinion, I still think they go that route with starting Jacoby Brissett. And then you let Drake Maye take over. But only time will tell. And we're going to find out very soon what the Patriots end up doing. And right off the bat, you play against the Bengals in Cincy. I know they play the Jets early on in the season. So, like I said, going to be interesting to see what they end up doing. So, let me know what you guys think, though. Who should end up starting right away? Should Drake Maye start? Or do they go the route of start the veteran guy and then, put Drake Maye in later in the season? So, it's going to be interesting, though, between that and, when we talk about the Steelers later in the show. But, like I said, only time will tell. So, but like I said, I think all the rookie quarterbacks have done a nice job in the preseason. I've been saying it. This has the potential to be a very good rookie class. It does. With Caleb Williams, with Drake Maye, with Jaden Daniels. Obviously, we're not going to see J.J. McCarthy, unfortunately, because he got hurt. But, and Michael Penix really has the potential. So, we'll see when all these guys eventually do end up starting. How do they all play? Because we're going to talk in the next segment. We're going to talk about, some past quarterback classes in recent memory that just have not lived up, and they've guys have ended up going to different teams. Because we'll talk about a recent trade that went down yesterday involving the Packers and the Titans. We'll get into looking at that as well. But yeah. So that's what the next segment's going to be on, because I did want to talk about the trade that went down, and yeah, it is interesting. So that's what we're gonna do when we come back from our next break, and then we'll go from there. Again, more quarterback talk um, that we're gonna get to, and just and then go from there. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.